Welcome to the SharpStart onboarding series. Today's tutorial is about the calendar and scheduler within MarketSharp.
Hi everyone, it's Romy at MarketSharp, and in today's SharpStart we'll be going over the calendar. First we'll take a look at some setup options and the system administrator functionality, and then we'll take a look at the calendar itself and different ways to view and create events. For setup, we're going to head to the admin section, and then in the company setup tile, you'll see calendar. In calendar maintenance, the first item here is workday setup. Now, this is controlling what is considered the work week in the calendar. You'll have the ability to view the calendar in the work week and business hours lens. Now, as of now, there's only one open and close time for every day of the week, so it would be that same time every day that you are open. You'll check Saturday and Sunday if you have Saturday and Sunday operating and scheduling hours. Next for setup, you'll see default appointment length. What this means is that if we were to enter an appointment start time, typically that appointment is a certain length, and you can enter that duration here, determining the end time by default. This helps with scheduling, giving you a bit of a shortcut. Service is scheduled in the service module, production appointments are scheduled in the production module, and sales are sales appointments on inquiries in the lead area. The next item is enabling Google Calendar integration. What this means is that you can tie a user's personal MarketSharp account and calendar to their personal Google account and calendar. Any events created in MarketSharp get pulled into Google with details for that Google user, and any events created in Google get pulled into MarketSharp as an event that only says busy. The reason for that is all calendars in MarketSharp are shared, so for privacy reasons, personal events get pulled in with a generic title. It's important to note here that for best use of MarketSharp, your sales calendar, your shared calendar, is now MarketSharp. The Google integration is designed to assist users with entering their own personal availability, as well as setting up their own alerts for when appointments are received and are coming up. If you are a new company and have a Google Calendar for your shared calendar, you will want to convert that process over to MarketSharp scheduling, as the Google Sync will not work in that scenario. Any questions about that, please call client care. For actual setup, we'll get to that in a minute. Just know that the first step for setup is turning it on and telling MarketSharp that you would like to give your employees the ability to sync with their Google accounts. And you do that by enabling the integration there. The next item is iCal files. iCal is a digital calendar event that can be sent and added to a personal calendar for ease of use. This is if the personal calendar is iCal compatible, such as Microsoft Outlook. iCal files can be generated by saving an appointment via Save an Email Event, or you can export the calendar as an iCal in the Calendar tab as well. And lastly, in setup, we have resource information. In order for a calendar event to be saved, it has to have a person attached to it, a person listed in employee maintenance. But there are instances of equipment assignment. We don't want to have that in employee maintenance, like a job site trailer, but we do need to track where it is on the calendar and its assignments. And that's done through these editable drop-downs here. So that concludes the admin portion of calendar setup, at least the functionality that's in the admin section itself. The next item we're going to go over is actually implementing the Google integration. Now to do that, all accounts that would like to be integrated need to be logged in as themselves here. And then click on My Account. Here you'll see Want to Receive Calendar Events on your Google Calendar, with a link that will take you to where you can log into your Google account. So we'll go ahead and log in, allow access, so now what this means is that any events created in MarketSharp that are assigned to me will pull into my Google Calendar with details, and any events created on my Google Calendar will pull into MarketSharp as a busy event. So to test that, we'll go ahead and jump over to the Google Calendar, We'll go ahead and create an event for the afternoon. We'll just title it personal, just so there's something. Click save, and then we'll see how that saves back on to the MarketSharp calendar. So now that we've completed the majority of setup, let's head over to the calendar itself. And to do that, we'll click on the calendar tab. In the calendar tab, you'll see that there are 3 different calendars, which are My Calendar, the Sales Calendar, and the Production and Service Calendar. The first one that we see upon logging in is My Calendar. My Calendar is a personal calendar of whomever is logged in and will only show events which the person logged in is notated as a resource, or the person whom is assigned to the event. That's why over on the left here, you only see the person whom is logged in as a listed resource in the calendar. It's only their events. The next calendar we have is the Sales Calendar. This calendar shows all the events of your salespeople, so primarily it's going to show sales appointments. But it'll also show any general appointments or production and service appointments that your salespeople are assigned to. This is to accommodate people who are both sales and production and prevent them from booking on one type of appointment when they're assigned to another at the same time. The last calendar is the Production and Service Calendar. This works very similar to the Sales Calendar in that it shows all of the events of your production and service people, so primarily production tasks and service appointments, but if any of those employees are also salespeople, those sales appointments will show here as well. You may be asking yourself, what controls whose events show up in these calendars? And that is by the utility called resource. I've used that term a couple of times now. The resource on an event is the person whom it is assigned to. It is the functional assignment mechanism of the calendar. There are groupings up top. These are called resource groups. Employees are put into these groupings with list permissions in the admin section. So up at the top we have the overall groups, salespeople, production, workers, service, and then other employees, equipment, miscellaneous. And then over on the left, we have all of the individual resources within those groups. So right now we have the salespeople group selected. So all of the salespeople resources, or people with the salesperson list permission, are shown here on the left. Check means they will show in their calendar with the corresponding color. Uncheck means they will be hidden from view. So if we uncheck Jack Smith here, his events disappear from the calendar. To confirm they are still scheduled, they are just hidden. So if you only wanted to see a select group of people, or didn't want to see certain assigned events, you can control that with this check mark. You'll also see there is a resource called No Resource. This is a fail-safe for if there is ever an event that doesn't have a resource assigned to it, it will still show on the calendar. Any preferences on checking or unchecking with either resource groups or individual resources are user preferences which are held, which means that even if you sign into a different computer at work or log into your account at home, the preferences you left the calendar at should be held and saved. System administrators are able to change the colors of employees. To do that, we're going to click on the pencil to the right of the account, and then click on the drop-down here. This will open the CMYK menu where you can choose the color and its brightness. So we'll change it to royal blue. You can also type in a color hex code up here if you know the specific code of a color that you're wanting to populate, and then select Apply. This will change the employee throughout the whole company database, including historical appointments. A little bit on navigating the calendar. First, you'll see that Busy event has now populated from the Google Calendar, so that is shown here. Up in the top right, there is a drop-down with different calendar views. The calendar defaults to day. You can also zoom out to work week, which we established in the admin section, week, which is Sunday through Saturday, and then month view as well. Another feature offered is split view. This is a day calendar, but it does show the resources with their own column. So sometimes this is a preference when wanting to schedule with a particular employee and wanting to see what times that particular employee has available. The next view is agenda. This is a more text-based view of the calendar. So if you were to export this to PDF, it would be a bit more printer-friendly. There are other ways to export the calendar, but this is certainly one at your disposal. And the last view is called timeline. Usually you'll see this with the production and service calendar. So this is like split view, but the axes are flipped. And then what you can do is if you zoom out, if there is a production task that goes over the course of a couple of days, it will show that stretch. So this is a valuable resource to schedule production in for those longer jobs. Another thing you'll notice back in split view or day view is that the business hours are shown in white, but the calendar itself still shows in 24 hours and it's showing after hours in gray. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see a button called Show Business Hours. This will snap the calendar to only your operating hours that we set earlier in the admin section. You can also expand the calendar again by clicking Show Full Day to show after hours appointments. The last item we'll go over today is how to create a general appointment. Now, a general appointment is an appointment that has a resource, has an employee assigned to it, but not a contact record. You can set these for both work-related and non-work-related items. Some examples would be scheduling time off, department meetings, or days and times that the office is closed. To create a general appointment, you can click and drag on the calendar, just like you would any other event. Right-click to add event. Now we're going to change the appointment type to general. You'll see on the right side, the contact info falls off. Now we can build it like any other appointment. We'll go ahead and assign our resource. I'll look for myself here in the search bar here. Subject, we'll just put PTO for now with a description of out of town. Go ahead and click Save. And here is our general appointment. Let's say that this was a recurring event that we were building, a general appointment that's going to happen every week, like a department meeting. You would follow the same steps to create. So you would click and drag, right-click to add events, and build it like you would your normal general appointment. So we'll change our type to general. We'll say that this is for a management meeting as opposed to a sales meeting. So we'll go ahead and select some supervisory people here. Then we'll type in our subject. And now we're going to select the recurrence check mark. This opens up the recurrence details panel over on the right. You can have items recur daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly. You can have them be every other week or every other month if needed by changing your every count. So we'll say this is a weekly meeting to recur every Monday. You can also set a recurrence pattern. So if it's just going to be going every Monday forever, you can leave no end date. You can also have it end after a particular amount of occurrences, so after it repeats 5 times, or end by a particular day, like the end of the year. We'll just say this one has a no end date. This is just going to be when the management meeting is going forward, and we'll go ahead and click Save. Now this event is a little bit different. It has 2 images on it, just like this sales meeting down here. It has a repeat arrow as well as a little person's icon. The arrow means that this is a recurring event, so it is repeated on the calendar somewhere. The person's icon means that multiple people are assigned to an event. So while it will show on the sales calendar in the color of the first resource that was assigned to it, in this case Jason, if we were to go to my calendar, the event is still there as well. The last thing we'll go over today is how to make an all-day event. Now this actually applies to any event in the calendar, be it tied to a contact or not. So we'll actually go into our PTO event here and we'll say instead of it just being a morning appointment, we're going to make it all day out of town. We'll go ahead and click Edit Event. And now instead of it being a specific day and time, we're going to select all day. You'll notice the times fall off because this is going to take the entire period of December the 17th. Go ahead and click Save. And initially it will look like the event fell off the calendar. Then what you'll actually notice is that it is at the top of the calendar in an all-day row here. All the events are stored at the top to help with calendar clutter and keep it tight and tidy. If you would prefer the long pillar of event all day for visibility, you can modify it to a start and end time of your operating hours as well. Know that both of those tools are at your disposal. So that does conclude the introduction to the calendar with basic setup, navigation, and use. Thanks so much for your time.
For additional assistance, please reach us by phone, email, or online. Thank you again for your time.